Welcome back to our journey through the fascinating world of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime's Light Novel. Let's continue from the last part, where we left.
Ghidorah remained cautious. Though reports claimed that Pharmus' forces were obliterated by the storm dragon, there was no tangible evidence to support this. The lack of physical proof troubled him greatly. In typical wars, a faction would consider surrender if it lost around 30% of its soldiers. However, there was no indication that Pharmus ever attempted to surrender. While some might speculate that the storm dragon refused to take prisoners, Ghidorah found this improbable. Having survived a previous campaign, he understood Veldora's character well. Veldora was known for his indiscriminate fighting style. He would cause significant damage in one massive assault but lacked precision in targeting individuals. Given this behavior, it seemed implausible that he would wipe out nearly the entire force of 20,000 soldiers with such precision. Based on what Ghidorah knew of Rimuru's character, it seemed unlikely that he orchestrated the massacre of Pharmus' forces. Rimuru was known to spare the lives of those who surrendered to him, unlike what had occurred in this situation. Thus, Ghidorah concluded that Veldora was likely responsible for the annihilation before any chance of surrender. This realization was daunting, reinforcing Ghidorah's belief that a direct conflict must be avoided at all costs. However, he had devised a plan to address this concern. While Rimuru posed another worry, Ghidorah intended to investigate further before determining a course of action. He harbored no personal vendetta against Rimuru, but if Rimuru aligned with Luminous, he would be considered an enemy. Ghidorah understood the importance of careful planning and collaboration, particularly with Yuki, who shared his interests. Together, they agreed to cooperate closely, exchanging information and becoming allies in their endeavors. Shinji was nervous because Yuki shared important secrets too easily, and he knew they could be in big trouble if something went wrong. Still, Shinji knew the mission was important and promised to do his best. He felt like they were being tested, not just used and thrown away. Mark and Jen agreed. They were ready to do the job, knowing they had to do well to stay safe. Ghidorah's warning to get good information made Shinji realize how serious their mission was. They talked about how many demon lords there were, which was confusing because things had changed recently. Ghidorah told Shinji it was very important to give Yuki the right information, or else it could lead to big problems. There are 8 powerful demons called the Octagram, likened to stars in the sky, and one of them is Rimuru, the newest member. He's our target, so stay alert. Additionally, there's another demon known as the Labyrinth Master. Are they connected to the labyrinth we're exploring? Shinji cautiously inquired. Ghidorah nodded solemnly, handing them a book detailing a labyrinth in the Republic of Euragracia, housing not only spirits but also Ramirez, the Fairy Queen and one of the oldest demon lords. The revelation stunned Shinji's group, but Ghidorah had more to share. The entrance to Ramirez's labyrinth was in Urgur Nature Park, but it disappeared around the time Rimuru became a demon lord. Ghidorah explained, emphasizing his personal investigation. Yuki concluded that Ramirez likely created the labyrinth and allied with Rimuru, prompting a worried reaction from Shinji's group. With a heavy atmosphere, they realized the mission just became much harder. Ghidorah and Yuki offered final words of caution before the trio departed, warned once more about Rimuru's cunning nature. The day after the meeting, Yuki's secretary, Kigali, escorted Shinji and his friends to the outskirts of Tempest. Meanwhile, Ghidorah set off on his own to another destination, trusting the trio to handle the mission independently at first. Though Yuki's stern words may have seemed harsh, Ghidorah understood it was to motivate them. He didn't view them as expendable but rather wanted them to adopt a serious mindset. Ghidorah recognized Yuki's demanding nature, reflecting on his own similar approach. Unbeknownst to him, his intimidating demeanor sometimes made others uneasy. Heading to the former kingdom of Pharmus, Ghidorah sought out an old apprentice to gather information about Rimuru. Arriving at the capital of Maurice, he made his way to the palace. Raisin, busy in his office, was startled to sense the nearby presence of his former mentor, Ghidorah. He couldn't believe Ghidorah was still alive, realizing this could spell trouble. Aware that Ghidorah's visit wasn't merely for nostalgic reasons, Raisin anticipated potential conflict. Moreover, the palace guards were unfamiliar with Ghidorah, raising the risk of a confrontation at the gates. Raisin feared the consequences if he ever clashed with Ghidorah, understanding he couldn't handle Ghidorah's power alone. Quickly realizing the situation, Raisin reached out magically to one of his new apprentices, Sari, urging him to join him at the palace gate. Sari, initially annoyed by the sudden call, acknowledged sensing a foreign presence heading towards the gate and agreed to meet Raisin there. Raisin had recently taken on Sara and Grigori as apprentices after they were dismissed from their roles as battle sages in the Holy Empire of Lublius due to past mistakes. Despite not having a particularly close relationship, Raisin felt sympathy for them, especially Sara, who had suffered a humiliating defeat at the hands of Diablo, an event that resonated with Raisin personally. Sara, despite his fiery temperament, respected Raisin as his master, while Grigori, though occasionally gripped by fear, was gradually regaining his courage. Raisin saw their potential and intended to train them as covert operatives for handling situations like the current one. They thought about adding Sir Grusith to their group because he was strong enough to fight Ghidorah, who was a very powerful magic user. Regular soldiers wouldn't stand a chance against Ghidorah, which showed that the kingdom really needed more top-notch fighters since they no longer had the Farmus Knight Corps, Napcor, and Raisin wished he had acted sooner because now he saw how important it was to deal with the danger quickly. When Raisin arrived at the palace gate, he found Sara and Grigori already there, confronting Ghidorah. They politely insisted that Ghidorah couldn't enter since he was a stranger, advising him to seek permission through official channels. Though their manners were rough, they stood firm in their refusal. Raisin, feeling the tension, intervened and ordered them to let Ghidorah pass. Despite their reluctance, Raisin insisted and kneeled before Ghidorah, expressing respect and apologizing for not acknowledging him sooner. Raisin had a reason to keep things cordial with Ghidorah, even though he was prepared to confront him if necessary. Ghidorah acknowledged Raisin's survival and approached him with a request for information. He assured Raisin and his apprentices that he meant no harm, which helped ease the tension. Despite this, Raisin and his apprentices remained cautious and requested time to prepare a meeting space before departing. The following day, the meeting took place in a room inside the palace. Yom, Grusith, and Raisin attended, with Sara and Grigori nearby as Yom's guards. Muren wanted to join, but she was advised to rest as she had recently given birth to a baby girl named Meme, who was receiving care from Prince Edgar. "So, Master, what did you want to ask me about?" said Raisin. "Well, before we get to that, I'd like to mention a few things." Ghidorah began, addressing the weaknesses of everyone present. He noted Sara's weakness in magic, emphasizing the importance of managing magical energy properly. Grukasith was advised to be more cautious in assessing his opponents before attacking, while Yom was urged to focus on protecting himself rather than relying solely on weapons and armor. Grigori was instructed to improve his skills. Finally, Ghidorah turned his attention to Raisin. Ghidorah praised Raisin for working hard and using magic that was similar to Ghidorah's own special magic. But Ghidorah also told Raisin to get better at using his magic. Raisin felt proud but knew he had things to improve. He saw that Ghidorah was good at seeing what people could do. Raisin stayed quiet, but Sara and Grigori didn't agree and wanted to show they were good too. Raisin thought about stopping them, but he didn't because he knew Ghidorah was ready for this and wanted to show Sara and Grigori how strong he was. Raisin saw an opportunity for a peaceful resolution and decided to go along with his master's plan. Ghidorah engaged in a battle with Sara and Grigori as a warm-up before the meeting, showcasing his overwhelming strength and leaving them astonished. However, Sara and Grigori surprisingly acknowledged Ghidorah's power but compared him unfavorably to a demon and a dog they encountered before. This unexpected reaction puzzled Ghidorah, who wanted to inquire further, but Raisin intervened, suggesting they focus on the original questions at hand for the time being. Back in the reception room, the meeting resumed. Yom and Grukith praised Ghidorah's impressive display of magic, acknowledging his mastery. Ghidorah effortlessly countered his opponent's spells while launching his own powerful attacks simultaneously, showcasing his overwhelming strength. Despite Yom and Grukith's admiration, Sara and Grigori felt disheartened by their defeat and returned to their guard duties. In the midst of a tense exchange, Raisin inquired about Ghidorah's purpose for visiting. Ghidorah expressed his intention to showcase his strength to deter resistance, emphasizing his anger directed solely at Luminism and his desire to prevent imperial invasion and casualties. Yom and Grukith interjected, voicing their concerns for Muran and her newborn daughter, sparking a heated argument over paternal rights. Raisin intervened to halt the escalating conflict. But Raisin understood what Ghidorah wanted and talked about joining the Empire to avoid fighting. Ghidorah said the Empire was strong and could easily take over Dwargan if Farminus helped. But Raisin mentioned a problem: the fast train between the Dwarven Kingdom and Tempest. Still, Ghidorah wanted Farminus to turn against Tempest because Tempest needed food from other places. Just as Ghidorah was going to say more, Raisin cut him off.
That's it for today, guys, and thanks for watching the video. Stay tuned for next chapter. Until then, goodbye.